Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to Dawson County Board of Commissioners voting session. Today's Thursday, March 19th, 2020. Appreciate your attendance. We'll start out with a roll call. And you can see we're all here. I ask everyone to please stand for a brief invocation and pledge. If you would bow your heads, please. Our dear gracious Heavenly Father, we thank you for the blessings of life. We ask that you lead, guide, and direct all the business that we will conduct here tonight. Lord, we pray for our nation, Lord, that you would touch everyone that's going through this COVID-19 pandemic that we're dealing with. Give us all strength to pull through that. Anything that we accomplish, we'll do it in Christ's name. In Jesus' name we do ask and pray. Amen. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. You may be seated. Does anyone have any announcements? Okay. Move on to approval of the minutes. First up, we have the minutes of the work session held on March 5th, 2020. Any additions or deletions? Motion.
Motion to approve.
Motion by Commissioner Nix. Second by Commissioner Satterfield. Discussion. Hearing none, please vote. And that's approved 4-0. Next up, we have minutes of the voting session held on March 5th, 2020. Any additions or deletions? Motion.
Motion to approve.
Motion by Commissioner Fawcett.
Second.
Second by Commissioner Gaines. Discussion. Hearing none, please vote. And that's approved 4-0. Next up, we have approval of agenda. We do have two changes to the agenda. First would be the addition, number 1, under new business, emergency action related to the coronavirus, COVID-19. And the second will be addition of number 7, under new business, Secure the Vote, America Vote Act Grant Program. So I entertain a motion with those two changes.
So moved.
Motion by Commissioner Nix.
Second.
Second by Commissioner Gaines. Discussion. Hearing none, please vote. And that is approved 4-0 with the two changes to the agenda. Next up, we have public comment. We have Miss Katie Owen is here to speak to us. Come on up.
Thank you. I just wrote this out if I could read it to y'all. Thank you for your time. I am Katie Owen from the Blue Bicycle, and I'm here to ask that you consider allowing us to offer package sales of beer and wine with takeout orders. In 2019, our alcohol sales were 32% of our overall revenue, so obviously this is a big part of who we are. Our menu and dining room experience has always been paired with responsible alcohol consumption, and we believe that by adding our wine list to our takeaway options, we'd be able to maintain a long and hard cultivated presence here in Dawson County. Package sales is already here in Dawson County, and we are just trying to think of ways to keep our doors open and to allow our employees to be able to meet their living expenses. Yesterday, Lawrenceville City Council declared a state of emergency, which has a provision allowing for restaurants that have alcohol licenses to sell bottled beer and wine with takeout orders. We believe that if we don't get through these hard times now, we're not going to be able to bounce back, and I'm asking for swift action, as every day the pressure is getting harder and harder. The measures that we would take are the same as we always have. We would be sure that we'd be selling only to someone 21 or older. We would limit sales to no more than 2 bottles of wine or a 6-pack of beer. And of course, we would sell alcohol only with food. A few positive points I'd like to hit. This could possibly allow our customers to enjoy as close to an in-house experience as we can create during these extraordinary times. It can also limit additional stops to pick up beer and wine at the store to go with their meal and help with social distancing. It help us and all the restaurants here in Dawson County to stay afloat and keep our employees working. And of course, we could continue to contribute to the local economy and tax base. I printed a copy for each of you.
Thank you. It's not something that the board will take up right now because we'll need our council to take a look at our alcohol ordinance to see how, if that would be even possible for us to do. So, so that's what we will do. We will ask council to take a look at that. Yes, ma'am. You can bring that.
That now?
Yes, sir.
Well, so we can take it up the next meeting?
Well, we're going to have council look at it and tell us exactly what is allowed before we take it up.
There's nothing wrong with that.
Oh, that's all he needs? Nothing? I'm blank.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thanks for your time.
And I guess council, if y'all look up what Lawrenceville did, try to see how they were able to accomplish it.
So I think that they.
We'll begin to look at it right away.
Oh, sure.
Here, you got it.
I can email you another copy. I knew there were 5 of these.
We can make copies of it.
We'll make this fine. We'll give her, she can have mine. That'll work. All right,
Is there any more?
we'll move on to new business. First up, we have the, the emergency resolution of the Dawson County Board of Commissioners provide for the operation of Dawson County, Georgia during the public emergency of the novel coronavirus disease 2019 global pandemic. We added that from the 4 o'clock session. So at this time, I will read this resolution. Whereas the Constitution of the State of Georgia, approved by the voters of the state, right one here, in November 1982 and effective July 1, 1983, provides in Article 9, Section 2, Paragraph 1 thereof, that the governing authority of the county may adopt clearly reasonable ordinances, resolutions, and regulations, and whereas pursuant to the enabling legislation 1995 Georgia laws, page 3689, has amended the Act, the board has the power and authority to fix and establish by appropriate resolution entered on in its minutes, policies, rules, and regulations governing all matters reserved to its exclusive jurisdiction, Act at Section 211, and whereas pursuant to OCGA 36120A, the Dawson County Board of Commissioners, the board is authorized to adopt ordinances for the governing and policing of the unincorporated areas of Dawson County for the purpose of protecting and preserving the public health, safety, and welfare, and whereas pursuant to OCGA 38328A, the county, as a political subdivision of the state of Georgia, by and through its board, is authorized and empowered to make, amend, and rescind such orders, rules, and regulations as may be necessary for emergency management purposes. And whereas pursuant to OCGA 38328C, actions taken by the board in accordance with the above shall be made with due consideration to the orders, rules, regulations, actions, recommendations, and requests of federal authorities relevant thereto and to the extent permitted by law, shall be consistent with such orders, rules, regulations, actions, recommendations, and requests. And whereas on March 13, 2020, Governor Brian Kemp, following President Donald Trump's national emergency declaration, declared a public health emergency in Georgia, effective on March 14, 2020, to deploy all available resources for the mitigation and treatment of the novel coronavirus disease 2019, COVID-19, and whereas pursuant to the county's Code of Ordinances, Chapter 18, Emergency Management and Emergency Services, Article 3, Emergency Management, Section 1840, Emergency Management and Response Powers, following a declaration of emergency, and during the continuance of such state of emergency, the chairman of the board is empowered to implement local emergency measures to protect life and property, including, but not limited to, suspending any law, code provision, or regulation prescribing the procedures for conduct of county business or the orders, rules, or regulations of any county agency if strict compliance with any ordinance, resolution, order, rule, or regulation would in any way prevent, hinder, or delay necessary action in coping with the emergency or disaster, provided that such suspension shall provide for the minimum deviation from the requirements under the circumstances, and further provided that when practicable, adverse effects resulting from such suspension shall be minimized. Code Section 18-40A 4D8, and whereas the board is charged with the protection of the public health, safety, and welfare of the citizens of Dawson County, and whereas the novel coronavirus disease 2019 global pandemic is a public emergency affecting and threatening life, health, property, and public peace, and whereas The U.S. Centers for Disease Control and Prevention has declared that avoiding public assembly and otherwise engaging in social distancing is an effective way to slow or prevent transmission of the disease. Now therefore be it resolved by the Dawson County Chairman and the Board of Commissioners as follows. Section 1. The Board does hereby declare that an emergency affecting life, health, property, and public peace exists within Dawson County, Georgia, due to the novel corona disease 2019 COVID-19 global pandemic. Section 2. The following provisions shall govern the operation of the county during the COVID-19 pandemic. 2.1. Public hearings. All matters requiring a public hearing, including but not limited to zoning, special use permits, variances, and regulatory permits, i.e. alcohol, are hereby stayed for a period of 60 days from the effective date of this resolution. At the conclusion of 60 days or earlier termination of this resolution, the scheduling of hearings shall resume in the ordinary course, barring further extension of this resolution. County staff are directed to work with applicants and those otherwise affected by this stay to ensure that financial impact and/or disruptions to business function is kept to a minimum. 2.2. Existing regulatory permits. If there are in effect existing regulatory permits that require a public hearing prior to renewal or extension and that will lapse, in the absence of such renewal or extension, then such permits shall be extended and remain in full force and effect until such time as public hearings are resumed. 2.3. County zoning and administrative agencies. The business of the county zoning and administrative entities such as the Planning Commission and all other such entities are hereby suspended for a period of 60 days from the effective date of this resolution. At the conclusion of the 60 days or earlier termination of this resolution, all such entities shall continue business operations in the ordinary course, barring further extension of this resolution. 2.4. Moratorium on public events and/or mass gatherings. No application for any permit, license, or similar approval related to any public event or gathering, example, parade and assembly, special event business license, special event permits shall be accepted, and no pending applications shall be further processed by the county administration for 60 days. 2.5. County Board of Commissioners. The board shall continue to operate and assemble at public meetings subject to the following. A. All policy-making functions of the board, i.e. strategic plans, ordinances, land use planning functions, visiting, development of countywide objectives and goals, and like activities shall be suspended for 60 days, except for policy-making and ordinance functions directly related to addressing the COVID-19 pandemic and related public health and safety issues. B. All zoning, plats, variances, and other land use decision-making shall be suspended for 60 days. C. All non-essential business, proclamations, presentations, etc. shall be suspended for 60 days. D. Contract, budgeting, and fiscal operations shall continue in the ordinary course. E. Citizens shall be strongly encouraged to observe board meetings via online streaming, particularly in light of all planning, policy, and ordinance-based functions being suspended. And F. Citizens who choose to attend any open meeting shall be requested to observe social distancing protocols while sitting in the gallery. 2.6. On or before the 60th day following the effective date of this resolution or any reenaction hereof, the board shall convene upon the call of the chairman or any three commissioners in accordance with Section 2.9 meetings of the Act. Section 3. All orders, rules, regulations, resolutions, or parts of ordinances in conflict herewith are hereby repealed to the extent of such conflict. Be it resolved this 19th day of March 2020. Okay. What's the pleasure of the board?
Motion to approve.
Motion by Commissioner Fawcett.
Second.
Second by Commissioner Gaines. Discussion.
This is, I guess, a legal question. Something that Ms. Owen pointed out that Lawrenceville did was they declared a state of emergency. This hasn't taken us to that level yet, but it's something that we could look at in the future if need be.
Certainly, this resolution, this will declare a state of emergency.
Okay.
Oh, that's
It
the
does.
first thing it said.
Yes.
Okay.
As to the issue with the alcohol ordinance and the packaging, that is something that would normally be suspended for 60 days under this, but there's flexibility built into this that if you needed to amend it or you wanted to revisit something, you certainly could do so. And I think I've already been given direction by the board to take a look at what was brought up by the citizen during public comment, and we will be doing that.
Okay, I just want to make sure this goes along that step, that process. Thank you.
Any other discussion? Hearing none, please vote. And that is adopted 4-0. All right, next up, we have consideration of abatement of nuisance property ordinance. This was moved forward from the March 5th, 2020 Board of Commissioners voting session following a public hearing. So we've had the public hearing on this. I think there was a question, and I think that was clarified in reference to, did this cover the road damages and potholes and stuff like that, and that was added in. Any parking lots and things such as that. Any other information needed?
Is all that in this, you're saying it's all added?
That was a revision.
I saw.
You want to speak to that, Councilman? Did you-
I'd be happy to speak to that, Mr. Chairman. Under subsection C of 48-2, this would be on base stamp page 10, number 10. We do address that sinkholes or potholes in private roads, private drives, and private parking lots are covered under this nuisance abatement ordinance.
Any other information needed? Motion.
Motion to approve.
Motion by Commissioner Satterfield,
Second.
seconded by Commissioner Nix. Discussion. Hearing none, please vote. And that ordinance is approved 4-0. Next up, we have consideration of request to accept FY 2020 Violence Against Women Act Grant Award. Greg presented that to us. This is an annual thing that they get, a repetitive grant that helps pay for that, couple people in that. Any other information needed on that? Motions.
Motion to approve.
Motion by Commissioner Fawcett,
Second.
second by Commissioner Gaines. Discussion. Hearing none, please vote. The items 4 and 5, the fact that we have now passed the emergency action, which I'll read them to you. We can take these both together. Consideration of application for Parade Assembly 3rd Annual Sheriff's Office Motorcycle Ride for Charity. That was originally scheduled for April the 4th. That has been canceled with no known future date. And then the second one is consideration of application for Parade and Assembly Pediatric Brain Tumor Foundation Atlanta Ride for Kids, which was scheduled for sometime in June. With what we passed before, my recommendation would to be to the board that we table both of those pending the 60-day moratorium that we just placed on. Do I have a motion
So moved.
to table vote for 60 days? Okay. Motion by Commissioner Nix,
Second.
second by Commissioner Fawcett. Discussion. Hearing none, please vote. Those are tabled for the 60-day moratorium. Next up, we have consideration of board appointment, Long Range Planning Committee. Cal Miller replacing Ronnie Atkins. Presented that to you a couple of weeks ago. Mr. Miller has been a regular attender of the Long Range Planning Committee for a long time. And in his application that he sent us, that was number 1 of his 3 that he had said he would be willing to serve on. And so we need a few more people willing to do like he's willing to do, serve on a few boards. So I will present him to you. Is there a motion?
Motion to approve.
Motion by Commissioner Nix,
Second.
second by Commissioner Satterfield. Discussion. Hearing none, please vote. And the last item we have under new business, that's approved 4-0. The last item we have under new business, secure the vote, Keep America Vote Act Grant Program. Linda presented that to us at 4 o'clock. This is an opportunity for the board and the county to receive some funding back from the grant for items that they must have anyway. So it gives them the opportunity to get up to $15,000 in one form of it, which is basically a 75-25. The state would pay 75, the county would pay 25. And then the second phase of that, it was a 1-to-1 up to $10,000, so that's basically 50/50. And she presented us with some costs in reference to a few items and recording and cameras and stuff like that for security. So, what is the pleasure of the board?
Quick question. I think they said that this is we purchased and then turned it into a reimbursement.
That's correct.
Just come out of capital, I guess.
Yeah, it's a reimbursement grant.
I didn't know if this is time to ask questions or not. Do we need to make a motion and then
We can discuss it.
discussion?
No, that's not good.
If we approve this, well, I know she hadn't talked to her board, will she have any leeway to change this? You know,
Well,
'cause she said
I
she.
think the proper procedure would be for us to approve up to the $15,000 that she can get back.
She did
And
say
not
this was the
necessarily-
highest. She
Yeah.
said this is worst
Yes.
case scenario.
Yeah.
So if
Yeah.
it comes down from there.
And
Yes.
then we wouldn't be stymieing what her board wanted to buy. So I would make a recommendation that we approve the grant, that she could apply for the full amount of the grant. And that way her board can make a decision on what.
But they can change within
Yes.
this if, okay, that's all. I just didn't want to lock her into
Yeah.
this because it's so
Not needed.
uncertain.
Yeah.
And so I guess the decision you would need to make is, obviously, the 3-to-1 grant is up to $15,000, the 1-to-1 grant is up to 10. So if you wanted to give her leeway to apply in both categories, then you could do that as well.
Well, I make a motion to that effect, that she does have option to do that.
In both categories?
Yes.
Okay, so we have a motion for her to present to her board the opportunity to apply for this grant in both categories, one being the security category, and the other one being more of a basic equipment thing that fell under like tables and different things that they would need to make that work. So I have a motion, do I have a second?
Sorry.
Okay, motion by Commissioner Fawcett, seconded by Commissioner Satterfield, discussion.
Would the match of the grant come out of fund balance, or does it come out of her budget?
I would imagine she probably doesn't have that in her budget, so it would have to come out of fund balance.
Yeah. It won't be hard to
But
imagine.
I just think it's something has to be done.
Well, you have to. I think it's
It's a requirement.
Coming down from the feds, so.
Yeah, it's a mandate.
So we want to make sure that our election people are, and that our citizens understand that everything is fair and equal. Any other discussion? Hearing none, please vote. And that's approved 4-0, and David, if you will, let her know that the action that the board took on that. No one signed up for public comment in this section. Thank you for your attendance. We are adjourned.